Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett alongside my co-host and pal, Blake Siebers. Siebes, what's going on today?
Good morning.
I know.
It's kind of like reminds me of last spring when we were doing all the pods in the garage, and it's been a long time since we've done a morning pod.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, we've got our Titan tactician here, Matt Sahag. And when we were trying to get ready for the pod, he was like, "Were you guys coming over to my garage?" Like, no, it's on our turf now at the studio. So welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. I would have preferred that. I was kind of hinting that it should be at my house.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Well, let's give a little YouTube shout out. If you're watching, you can see Matt's TH Media Cup. We are in Killstrom Creative's lair down here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so little different scene, a little different than last year, and also, what's another change we've got here, Siebes?
We've got this is a conflict of interest a little bit.
Potentially, yes.
We got a coach now.
Yeah, he may not be the Titan tactician, or he is the Titan tactician, Matt Sahag, but he is now doing that on a daily basis.
Anything to avoid whatever you just called me. Like that was my goal in all of this.
Oh, Matt, congratulations on the new gig as the Dowling girls coach. Off to I'd say a hot start because you're 2-0 officially, but you've lost your first preseason game, and you lost your scrimmage yesterday. So you're technically 2-2.
Thanks, Ben.
Bring him down to earth.
That's
right.
For all the girls watching, you're feeling pretty good about the start of the season.
Good.
Right?
They should. No, they look good the other night. We watched the Roosevelt Dowling game on Friday evening at MediaCom, and I think it was a good little sort of spectacle of the Metro soccer. There was some good stuff played.
Yeah.
Blake's disagreeing.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into it. But, yeah, I mean, start with, right, cool. Again, we've talked about it in the past. Those that haven't been, MediaCom, super cool atmosphere, stadium. You're right on top of the players and the game. So I think that's definitely helps.
Yeah, no doubt the best venue you can play in the state of Iowa. What a cool place.
Yeah, it was an awesome place. And, you've got the whole feel of, like, the actual real experience because you got the locker rooms that are just in behind the stands, too. And so you're walking out as if you're actually playing in a stadium, and of course you are, but the setting's pretty awesome, I think. Under the lights for the girls, too, on a Friday night.
It was a little chilly. Weatherman?
Yeah, it was not warm. We found out the press box does not have heat, which is interesting.
Disappointing.
Yeah. And we sat in the press box, right? You lose a little bit of the atmosphere because you can't hear the crowd, the players. Roosevelt brought some of their boys were rambunctious. It was good.
Yeah, they were rambunctious in a good way. Should we talk a little bit about the game?
Yeah. So a rematch. I was interested. You're on Bound, right? And you're looking at the historical results. And Dowling had won every game against Roosevelt up until last year. So I thought that was a little bit interesting.
When you guys Dowling coming off, what was it? Kind of like even 500 year or so, maybe a little below 500. Mm-hmm. So something to prove. When Roosevelt too, like they're in the at least as far as Des Moines Public Schools, like they are the team to beat in the Metro. So I just thought it was a good, as far as like crosstown rivalry or crosstown battle, it was a good matchup. It was an even game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to ask any of the girls who are returners this year, they would say last year was a down year for sure. 2 years ago, they were in they went to the state tournament in the final 8, and then last year I think they bowed out in the maybe the second or the regional final or whatever they call them, sub-state finals. So and then as you mentioned, last year Roosevelt actually won the game 2-1, and I think it was the equalizer. Roosevelt scores with 10 seconds left to equalize last year. And so that sets up the overtime winner, I think, for Roosevelt. So for the Dowling girls who are returning, and even for the freshmen, they did have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder from last year and something to come out and prove.
Yeah, so get into the game. First half, if you're a neutral, you probably don't want to watch it. No goalkeeper makes a.
It's true. There were no shots on goal.
There were no shots on goal. No dangerous chances.
It was a very, very much a midfield kind of back and forth.
Cagey.
Yeah, and I don't know that it was necessarily cagey like on purpose. I don't think it's because the teams were nervous or anything like that. It just didn't seem like we could get anything going beyond like in the final third. Right? There was a lot of midfield play.
He's not happy with our.
Well, I think that's harsh, right? If you're a neutral, you don't want to watch the game.
Yeah, I don't think
that's
that.
pretty harsh. So,
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
There was just no. There was nothing to like get me out of my seat to be like great chances, attack. Like I guess that's where I'm going with that.
yeah. I mean that, and so I mean it is harsh. It's probably a hard truth though in some ways too. I thought that, I mean, for us, the first couple of weeks of the season has been all about how do we get organized, and so there's been a lot of stuff off the ball we've addressed. And so I think that translates to a more conservative approach when we actually defend. And so that's maybe why it sets up that way in the get-go. But I've really asked the girls to think about in the first couple of weeks the way they play and how they get organized. And so I thought from that perspective in the first half, they did really well. I thought that anytime, we didn't necessarily go press the ball high every time the goalkeeper got the ball. We didn't go press the ball high when the right back got the ball or the center back got the ball in their back third. And that was by design. That's what I asked the girls to do. And so I think you did see quite a bit of side to side from Roosevelt. But ultimately, my observation is that they would just end up giving it to us because we were defending compactly as a team. And so I thought that was job done by the girls in that regard. It may have made for not as exciting of a game, but I think it was a measured performance from our girls because, we also had 3 games this week. So we're not going to come out in week 2 and play high pressure 3 games in a row, knowing that, we had a quick turnaround on Saturday too. So yeah, it was a little bit slower. Having said that, I think the challenge I think we're going to just, the way the season's setting up, I think we're only going to get better off the ball defensively. I think we're going to be a really tough team to beat down the stretch because we are going to be organized. And so the question for us is, can we put goals in the back of the net? So you've hit the highlight, I think. I think that is the question this year. Where are the goals going to come from? Who's going to score them? And I am pretty confident that's going to work itself out, but the season is young. So you may have some pretty harsh words for now, Blake, but that was the second game of the season, and I'm pretty happy with the performance. And so you guys, what's your next question?
No, I was going to say, I think that, one, we've talked about this a lot in the past about just how to be a good high school team, if you can get your squad organized defensively, that is like the first piece to being a tough team to beat. That's like the first piece to maybe making it a little further in the season, is not losing those tight games and being strong defensively and organized. So
yeah,
so I think that's smart that that's where you're going, and I think Blake probably agrees with that.
Well, Blake's got it operating off of probably 10% of the information I am as well. I mean, last year I want to say they lost 6 1-goal games.
You did say that the other day, Matt.
So when you look at the difference in what it feels like to have a L on the chart versus a W, there's a massive difference. So we've churned out 2 one goal victories, which that's all you need for the W, right? So flipping that script is really important. I think it's important for momentum purposes. And when we look at some of the goals we got scored on last year, they were self-inflicted wounds, so to speak. And so, if you guys, I'm sure you'll get into yesterday's game as well, and on top of the Roosevelt game, but there were more self-inflicted wounds there. And so, those are the things we're trying to avoid, because I think that's the difference between winning and losing a lot of these games, because there's a lot of parity throughout the Central Iowa teams.
Well, and I think that's what we see as the season goes on, like the teams that don't have an organized structure and that are giving away silly goals. Those are the teams that you might be excited about, but then just sort of disappear, fade away. So, one of our favorite state champions, Coach Wayne Ward there at Pleasant Valley, he's winning state championships with 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 games in the state tournament. So like we know that is a viable solution or version of soccer at the high school level.
Yeah, and you guys shouldn't get super defensive because I mean, you didn't. I don't know if they had a touch in your penalty area. So
That's
like
also true.
defensively, like legit, really, really good.
Blake just wants to see some.
I just like
attacking.
again, I'm a neutral here. I want to see just like back and forth goals galore.
Well, and as the season goes on, though, so how do you address that, Matt? Like, because if you don't have like you don't have an outright goal scorer that's just gonna like create something out of nothing. It didn't look like, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to critique our side right now, we don't have, someone with breakaway pace, who if you played him behind, she's going to run it down and beat players for pace 8 out of 10 times. We just don't have that player physically. So we've got to look for ways, I think, to get the ball into the final third and then combine and use our soccer skill to create.
You have to like
opportunities.
manufacture chances.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think it's also just, it's figuring out a way to combine in the final third.
Well, that's what I mean.
Entry,
Like
right?
you have to do like it's not just going to be some spontaneous thing. It's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
going to be built. You're going to get it wide. You're going to cross it in the box. You're going to fight for set pieces. You're going to,
A little bit, but I mean, if you look at our team too, in terms of our attackers too, we're pretty young. So the two players that we started up front on Friday were Maya Harshberger and Olivia Paoli. They're both sophomores. Bree Kruger. Who
I love two strikers, by the way.
Yeah, I can get into that in a little bit too, but and it's actually where I was going to go, because of you're saying you want that attacking sort of fun game, and I'll get there in a second. But to finish the point on the youth of our team, we've got Bree Kruger, who scored the game winner. She's a sophomore. Jaslyn Roman Castro, she started in central midfield. That was only her second game ever playing.
I really liked her. She's good.
She's a good player. And then, Elizabeth Brick on the left was a junior. So really out of the front sort of 6, if you will, we had one senior, which is Charlotte Carmichael, who had a great game too. So some of that youth shows through a little bit, I think. And then also just physically, it's going to take a special, I think, sophomore to beat a senior for pace that's big, strong, and athletic, which Roosevelt had at the back in number 4. I thought she had a really good performance for Roosevelt, and I think she's going to keep them in a lot of games. So, back to the 4-4-2, though, I think one of the reasons why we haven't created a ton of chances is not many teams play 4-4-2 anymore. And so, and then a lot of these club teams and all of the girls, in fact, a lot of them are in 4-3-3. So
I was going to say almost everyone plays some version of a 4-3-3.
Yeah, so what you have is you have girls that are used to playing like either on the wing or as their sole number 9 or their target player up front, and so so the teams that I've seen, most of them when they play in 4-3-3, they play it differently from the pros, but a lot of times you see players that are isolated out wide and up front. And so for us, when we go into a different system, teaching these girls how to move and how to combine is something we've got to work on. And I mean, I talked to you guys after the game, and that night when we met up, and your first observation was, hey, your front two have got to work together better, right? And so I said, I agree with you. And so actually before the game yesterday, I talked to both of them and I said, here's the feedback from the observers who are soccer people. It's just what we've talked about is our front two have got to work together better. So I thought, so that's something we're working through and we're teaching, but it's a new concept for some of these kids. And I'll tell you, a lot of the things we worked on in the first couple of weeks are new concepts for the players. And I've really challenged them in that regard, and I think they're starting to respond. So that's where I think some of the lack of chances come from. The other issue too, I think, is just pass selection. So I mean, you got to pass the ball forwards to create chances, and so I think my observation overall, and we talk about this, I think, lots, even last year, is that we see players
back,
they want to, back and square. Or let's build it out of the back and let's be nice and pretty, and that's all. There's space for that in the game, if you want to use a buzzword these days, space. But I think you've got to be effective too, and so we talked a lot about that with the girls. So changing that mentality and continuing to. I mean, I think for them to see it in games and then see it on film, we'll cut up some film and show it to them tomorrow, is going to be, hopefully will translate to some more chances for us.
Do you want to talk about the goal? I don't know how that'll look like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, Evan, I sent it to you, so you can just kind of splice it in. Yeah. So the goal, actually, I was very happy with it because it starts from Roosevelt's goal kick. So we've talked a lot about our starting positions when the ball is set, and so what happens is they take a goal kick and they play it in short. I thought we just shifted with the ball, and specifically Bree Kruger's starting position was excellent. She was a right midfielder. She was very narrow, and so when the ball gets played actually into central midfield, it's an errant pass, and she's able to just pick it up. And then she plays the ball around the corner to Maya Harshbarger, first time. Forwards, exactly.
First pass forward, my favorite thing.
And Maya turns with it, and then Bree continues her run forwards, and Maya's able to find her in a couple of touches, and then Bree just beats the girl out wide for pace, gets the goalkeeper moving to the goalkeeper's left, and then just places a shot low and into the corner. And so it's actually a really good piece of play, I think. I think Roosevelt's goalkeeper got committed too far over. I mean, she should have, fixed her angle a little bit. But Bree got her going in the wrong direction and then just wrong-footed her. So it's actually a really good game winner, I think, from our perspective. And it hits on some of the things we've been working on early in the season, too.
Well, when you talk about it as a game winner, there was plenty of time left in the game at the time of the goal. So you had to really... you had to grind it out. A second goal would have really sealed it for you and obviously if you let them back in the game, you're in trouble. But you guys did well to see it out.
Yeah, definitely. So at that point in time, right, it's don't concede and you win the game. So the message then to, obviously our central midfielders and stuff were like, hey, let's seal it up at the back and let's make sure we don't concede. So I think, we sat a little bit deeper, or Charlotte did definitely, which was what she needed to do. And then that second goal just never came. But if a second goal comes, it could be 3 and 4.
Sure.
And that's what I talked to you guys about halftime, too. It's like sometimes it takes a little while to open up the game. And to your point, we were playing a little more conservatively, a little bit further back. And so it took some time to open the game up. And I thought the game did open up. The second goal just never came. But, who cares? We won.
Let's talk a little bit about Roosevelt, because while we were giving you a hard time about your playing the attacking third, they also did not generate any chances or I'm just trying to think. I don't recall.
They moved the ball. We talked about. They moved it, connected passes, but never.
Yeah, I was saying. I don't think I saw there was like a real forward. Right. I don't think there was like a real chance on goal. That's all.
Yeah, and they got that Spellman.
Yep.
She played out wide, scored loads of goals as a freshman last year.
Is she only a sophomore?
She is.
She's number 11, I think.
That's our gripe is that the Roosevelt's bound numbers aren't uploaded, so we don't know necessarily who everybody was.
So Reed, get that. Have a coach or somebody upload those.
Yeah,
for us. In his defense, right? I mean,
we know it's hard. We know it's hard.
I found out a lot of these things. So the coaches are managing bound, right? So you've got to make all those entries. There's one of the individuals in the athletic director's office at Dowling was nice enough to enter the numbers for me on bound because she said to me on Friday, "Hey, we don't have numbers in bound. Can you do that?" And I said, I can try and get to it, but she just said, I'll take over and do it. So
it's under the Roosevelt roster too.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I didn't get my numbers uploaded earlier was just we passed uniforms on Monday. So maybe Reed just hasn't gotten to it. So, but
and I'm not necessarily.
I'm just saying these guys will.
It is honestly super helpful though. From a coverage point of view, when you're trying again. Nobody does programs anymore, so you can't figure anything out.
Yeah, and we want to be able to recognize, to be able to say, hey, number 11 is whoever. And
I know this now from experience. These players are looking at bound every day.
Oh, for sure they are.
Right.
It's the same way that we used to. You'd wake up and you'd pull the register out and you'd flip to the back of the sports section and check the scores.
Because it is slick, right?
Yeah,
it's got. If you guys as coaches, administrators, players, whoever, upload the info, it is awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Right. So back to that 11 though, if it's her, it's the left footer that actually played on the right quite a bit. She was by far.
She was giving you guys some trouble.
Most dangerous player, but she was not close enough to goal to be a threat. Right.
Yeah, well, and they didn't get close enough to goal to be a threat.
And she plays out wide.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Fair
gonna,
enough.
maybe that's where I'll leave it since I'm one of the opposing coaches. And we might see in them again.
Yeah, but we've talked about this too. A lot of times when you're playing at the high school level, maybe you're playing players where they don't normally play because maybe they play on a really good club team, say, and so they make sense as a wide midfielder. But maybe for a high school team, you should be the center forward or center midfielder. Or, that's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't like that?
I don't know. That could be true, Ben. It could be
It
true.
could be. I'm just saying. So a lot of times, what we like to do is, or we talk about, is like having a strong spine of the team.
If you were to coach Roosevelt, would you play her on the right hand side?
No, I wouldn't. Okay. I'd put her in the middle of the park, let her. Or I guess I don't fully know her profile, but
Yeah.
I'd have her. I'd put somewhere where she's around the ball more. That's all.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
I was happy with her where she was at.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I think she's a good player, though. I thought they had two players.
And the center back was.
Yeah.
She's fast.
She was. She frustrated our front two, right? I mean,
They couldn't get. They weren't getting a sniff.
They couldn't push it. Maya always struggled to push it past her and kind of get in behind her. And it's something we'll continue to talk about with Maya. And again, she's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a couple of decisions that Maya could have made when she was running at her to get by her. But Ford did a good job. And I mean, I think those two players are the players that kept Roosevelt in the game. And I think I thought Roosevelt was a lot better actually than I expected. I really did. I thought they were a lot better than I expected. Even though we beat them last year, they beat us last year. I still wasn't expecting them to be as strong as they were, but I think they're built around those two players for sure.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they do in the Metro specifically. You've got North and Lincoln are both going to be chomping at the bit there. But I would just love to, as always, I'd love to see a Metro team find a way to make it to the state tournament. Obviously, with a 2-0 start, you guys are headed in the right direction. What were you were ranked 13th at the beginning of the week last week?
Yeah, I mean, lucky number 13 is where they put us.
Well, we know the ranking. I mean, ultimately, the rankings, especially this time of the year, they're not like super meaningful. It's just a metric.
I think they're probably fair, right?
Sure.
To be where we're at preseason. I mean, we, like you said, I think we had a sub 500 record last year, and we really have returned pretty much everyone that was a significant contributor last year. There were only a couple of seniors who graduated, and so if you look at last year's performance at the beginning of the season, I mean, we're probably positioned in the right place. Whether or not that gives us a leg up, I think, is yet to be determined. But I kind of like the spot because I think some people could underestimate us. I think we are going to be. The question is if we can put it together. We are good enough, I think, to be the state champions, but the question is, where do the goals come from? And if we can start scoring goals, I wouldn't be surprised if we win it all this year. But we'll see. At least that's the ambition.
It's a good ambition to have.
Love it.
I can't wait to see what training's like over the next couple of weeks. I wonder what your final third exercises are.
Well, I mean, it's training's tough. Honestly, it's tough. So we played.
So you had 3 games.
Yeah, I can give you a little information about yesterday's game too. So we played.
I heard you lost.
Yeah, we did lose. So I mean, it's nice of you to tell us 2-0. We're actually 2-1. But no, well, you came out of the gates with that.
Yeah, I know.
2-2.
I'm sorry.
Evidently, the preseason games count in Ben's book as well. By the way, it was only one half.
All right.
So just for the record too, we played Valley in a preseason game. Rob Chapman was nice enough to reach out to me, or for one of our assistants who he works with, and say, hey, do you guys want to get a game in? Which is awesome because, I mean, I just got here in the end of January, so I didn't schedule any of this stuff. And so I'm kind of learning about how you get preseason games. And so he was nice enough to say, do you want to play? And that was great because, we got to play, one of the best teams in the state in the preseason. And
it's a great barometer to start with.
Yeah, I mean, they shocked us with the pace and the physicality of the match, and they banged a couple in early. And so that was a good measuring stick for us and a good learning process too. But if you look at the schedule, we played 3 games this week. On Tuesday night, we traveled to Cedar Rapids, and so we're 2 hours on a bus.
Which is crazy.
And after school, and then we are Then it's like 35 degrees. Gets colder, so it's raining. It's like sleeting, so you're getting hit with these like icicle things as you run into the wind, right? And we were against the wind in the first half. Then as halftime struck, we get into a lightning delay, so we're 30 minutes in the locker room. The athletic director and the coach then are in our locker room because it's 0-0 and we've been against the wind. And the guy's looking at the lightning meter going, oh, I don't know, this is all around us. Do you really want to wait this out? So we're like, yeah, let's wait it out. 20 minutes later, we're on the field, right? And so we're now with the win, and we get one. So we win that game 1-0, but then we're home probably after midnight, right?
Sure.
And so then we turn it around. We play Friday night again, another 1-0 game. And then we have to turn around on Saturday and play a 1 o'clock game. So the way we've played in games 1 and 2, we have not gone very deep into the bench. So we've probably had 13 players playing game 1, game 2. And I think physically on Saturday, we sort of met our match. Although, if you look at the first 20 minutes of the Saturday game, we're right there in it. We miss a sitter early that could have made it 1-0. And then we have an absolute debacle for 6 minutes where we give up 3 goals and we kind of just hit the self-destruct button. So
who's it that you guys played again?
it was Lincoln Pius out of Lincoln.
Sure.
So it was a Catholic school.
Yep.
But I think definitely. So Pius had not played since Tuesday. So
Yeah, it makes a difference.
we then played Tuesday, Friday night, then Saturday afternoon. So it's set up like to be sort of a disaster when you do it that way for us. And so I think to be fair to the girls, they actually did the best of what they had. You went for 20 minutes, and that's pretty natural, right? You 20, and then you're sort of done.
Sure.
And we gave up a goal at the back where, our center back, who's been one of our best players so far and super reliable, and she's going to have a great season, Julia Shoup. She should be on a lot of colleges' radars. That'd be a whole other topic to get into. A lot of these girls are not playing in college, and they should be. I just don't think they've had a whole bunch of looks. But we give away an easy goal, and that kind of just killed us off, and then it kind of went downhill from there. So anyway, that was Saturday, but all in all, it was a really good first week, and I think it's only up from here for us.
Also, Roosevelt drops to 0-2. Their next game, they play Marshalltown coming up this week. You guys jump up to technically 2-0, maybe 2-1 if we're counting the Lincoln game?
No,
You have to.
2-1.
It's a game. It's not a scrimmage.
Hey, all right. So you're 2-1. And what's your week looking like coming up?
So we play Urbandale on Tuesday.
Urbandale beat Roosevelt 1-0.
Right. So that
That'll
tells you what the game's going to be like.
Should be a close one.
Yep. And then we play Valley on Friday.
Ooh.
So
it'd be a real quick test on how much you've learned in the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. We're it's an important week for us. Because you think about, we're 2-1 now. Just from the wins and losses. So
yeah, you could be 4-1 or 2-3.
Or you could get a draw in there. And there's lots of different possibilities.
Sure.
But
This is the hard-hitting math and analyzing you get from the Kick It Forward boys. You guys literally just know what you just did. You just
did math.
Yeah, 2 + 1 = 3, guys.
yeah, but no, it's the difference in how you feel
Man,
about.
he hasn't had all of his coffee yet this morning, has he? He's grumpy.
Yeah, well, he's going to his son. We should go to his son's game this afternoon and critique his kid.
That's right.
Like
Bring a notepad because you'll be writing
he
a
goes
bunch
to
of
a
critiques.
Friday high school game, right? And he's like, well, it wasn't very good. And then, anyway.
All right, cool. So you got an important week coming up. Anything else, guys?
No, it's always good to be on the pod on a Sunday morning talking soccer. That's because that's what we are, soccer talk.
And I think stay tuned for the season because it'll be interesting with the Titan tactician and the different little role. What
Yeah,
he's
it's
gonna
definitely a
bring.
different perspective he's bringing, I think.
Well, hopefully you guys actually cover some girls soccer this year. That's the feedback I've gotten. And they're like, most of these girls are like, well, who's Kick It Forward? Because you two have selected only boys games so
Thanks
far.
for the support, high school girls soccer.
Oh, it's getting
Events.
testy.
Yeah,
All
we can
right.
go in that. That's another pod. But I might be critical this year because there's not. It's not a two-way street.
All
sometimes.
right. Well, we'll see how we can balance it out between and all our volunteer time. Make sure we can get as many games as possible, both on the boys and girls side. Anyway, always lovely. We'll figure out what the game of the week is this week. We have no idea what we're going to do. So slide into the DMs and let us know what you think we should see. Keep an eye on Play of the Week, right? Producer over there. Play of the Week should be popping off here soon enough. Keep sending us your goals and your saves and your plays of the week. And what else you got, Siebes?
That's it.
Thank you to Matthew Sahag, a.k.a. the Titan Tactician. Best of luck in this very important week to you.
Thank you.